Hello and a warm welcome to Robin's TV Extra Time as we reflect on Bristol City's trip up to Coventry to face a side they haven't beaten away from home since 2014 in the league. A bit of a struggle in the end for Bristol City, unfortunately, going down and being defeated by 1-0 thanks to Brandon Thomas Asante's second half goal. Not Liam Manning's men's day whatsoever. They've got to bounce back quickly though, of course, as they face Sheffield Wednesday on Wednesday evening. In the studio alongside me today, as he was watching the game with us as well, is Lewis Carey, Bristol City's all-time appearance holder. Lewis, a game that we're going to hopefully put behind us quite quickly for Bristol City. Not one that really involved a huge amount of quality, and they really struggled to get up to speed and continue in the rich vein of form that we've seen, particularly at home in recent weeks.
Yeah, and I think to summarise that would be frustrating. I think Liam Manning will be so frustrated. It's incredible that he's seen his team perform so well over the Christmas period, so well against Wolves in the second half, the team full of energy throughout that period, to come into this game confident, try and win a game away from home against a team that are struggling late on in games, struggling with mixed results since the change of manager, to be stood on the sideline and being helpless really, because he can't change anything with regards to, he can change personnel, he cannot change players ball going under their foot, over their foot, turning into people, slipping over, misplaced passes. It is a game where I've never seen so many turnovers in a game of football in my time watching.
Yeah, well, let's have a look at some of the key stats then from the 90 minutes between the two sides. Of course, we kind of expected Coventry would edge possession, the shot count as well. At one point, Bristol City's expected goals was actually higher than that of Coventry. Jules 1, Bristol City do edge that, but then again, sloppiness when it comes to fouls and only 2 shots on target, so not many clear-cut opportunities. What really stands out for you there, Lewis?
Well, I think, like you said, the expected goals, but initially was probably the 2 best chances of the game actually were for Bristol City. Coventry did dominate possession, and I would say when I see the 16 shots and their expected goals rising to 0.9, second half, the volume of efforts they had is what pushed that up. And I think over the second half performance, they probably deserved to win the game. But what we don't see on those stats, like we alluded to a minute ago, is turnovers of the ball. Both, I bet, were off the chart. There wouldn't be enough room on the on the stats there to write the numbers. It was just incredible. And like I said, I really felt for the manager and for the staff, because it's there is no way of changing that. Throughout the whole game, it was never that the players didn't put in a commitment or an effort or an energy. That was there. It was just the pure lack of quality with the football.
Yeah, and I think, like all of us in the Robin's TV studio, we had our hopes high when Wells was put through on goal early on in the game, and you cited it on a number of occasions during commentary, Lewis. If we see the opportunity now, at this point in the game, I think Liam Manning would have been licking his lips at the way Bristol City have been playing more recently and the opportunity that arose here.
Well, there was 2 or 3 instances. So anytime the 3 centre-backs of Coventry played a long straight pass into the middle of the pitch, or when Bristol City found a 10 in huge spaces between the lines of the back line and the midfield line, allowed space in behind, and all the Coventry defenders were always stood square facing the ball at all stages throughout the game. So any clever movement from Mehmeti or Wells, there was space to be played in on goal. I don't know if we'd have the opportunity to watch it back, but like the one was, the one player who you want in that situation would be Wells. However, I actually think the keeper does incredibly well. If you look at this, look, the situation there, the spaces in behind. Wells reads it, runs off his back, has a good touch, but the keeper staying on his line puts a doubt in Nahki Wells' mind what to do. Normally keepers come running out and make your mind up and they play it past or through their legs, but it allows the defender to get back, apply a little bit of pressure, and if you just watch, defender comes back there, a little bit of pressure, but the goalkeeper stays. And then when you stay on your line, it gives you more chance to react, to get down and save it. So I actually thought the keeper did great. However, I think you touched on it at half-time, that if he gave the old Mehmeti finish the other day of looking in the far post and then putting it in the near post, may have been the finish on that occasion.
Maybe a different story. And then again, Bristol City at times found themselves in situations where they outnumbered Coventry offensively, lots of 3v2 opportunities for them. And we'll see this clip now. And again, throughout the first half, it kind of continued into the same vein, but maybe just a couple of moments of indecision and poor touches were Bristol City's downfall.
That's exactly it. So the volume of times they did this, look, they're 3v2 and the pass goes into the defender, or the pass went under Mehmeti's foot a minute ago, or he had a heavy touch. That was what really, really surprised me today. The volume of times you got into these sort of situations and then somebody would run into somebody or take too long to make a decision. Or I think Bell got into a situation once and he could have played it across the box in his left foot, questioned himself, come back on his right foot and gets tackled. It was just loads of those sort of situations today where it's awareness and decision making was like foggy brain, you know what I mean? You can't work out what decision is going to be the best one on the day.
Yeah, and then conversely, at times Bristol City found themselves spread too thinly across the park when it came to their defensive effort. And Coventry, I mean, the first half they were particularly poor, I'd say, but certainly in the second half, you mentioned it on the show for Robins TV. They certainly came into the game in the second half and probably of the two sides deserved more from it.
Yeah, I think the first half, the only outlet for Coventry were the two wing-backs. So the right wing-back on this occasion had found himself in this area a couple of times and snatched at things, struck the ball really quickly, whereas there was no sort of calmness on the ball striking skills. And in the first half, De Silva as well. But this bit of play at the start of the second half, this was how Bristol City started defending. If you watch, McNally runs back and then decides to go to the ball. So anytime the ball was dropping in that zone between the midfield and back lines, they all go back to defend the goal. It was really interesting how it really surprised me, because I didn't think Asante and a couple of the other boys up top were good decision makers, and you were allowing them to find space. You were allowing them to pick a pass, like in that instance there, because you were dropping off. It was like a fear-based defending rather than being on the front foot and making something happen.
Yeah. Then something had to give in the end. Eventually the goal did come through Brandon Thomas Asante rocketing the ball into the roof of the net, and it was a good finish in the end. You were critical initially of him in the game, Lewis, but as you mentioned, he kept trying and he was a willing runner.
Yeah, exactly that. So again, the example there. So the ball drops and the back boys drop. Everybody just kept dropping. There's no pressure on the ball, and it allows him to run in behind. And what he did all game, in all fairness to him, was running behind. He kept running behind. He was offside quite a few times. He slipped over, or different things happened where it didn't quite work for him. But on this occasion, he struck the ball lovely. It's a well-timed run. It's hit that first post. Like I said, a lot of people will be having to go at the goalkeeper here, but if you watch there, goalkeepers squat. So they squat down at the near post, expecting a shot to come at them or a cross to come in. They're ready to defend all sort of situations, and that's why coach the young lads, when they're a striker in that sort of situation, go high at the near post. Goalkeepers can't react to get up there quick enough. Anywhere here, they can. So that was an incredible finish, and in all fairness, fair play to him, because he did keep going all game. He was somebody who did try to make something happen, although didn't have the quality on most occasions.
It sounds like he executed that perfectly from the training ground, in that case, into the roof of the net. Plenty of Bristol City substitutions to note. Sam Bell did have an opportunity of his own. And then on top of this, of course, positive news for Bristol City is seeing the likes of Joe Williams, Mark Sykes, and Sinclair Armstrong, of course, returning to the side as well for Bristol City. Positive reinforcements as the season draws on.
Yeah, very much so. They're going to need the depth for the squad, because like we saw today, a lot of the boys did look like they're lacking energy. Like I said, it wasn't through effort, but it's just you can see in people's legs. You can just see it. Looks like when we say about people running in quicksand, it just wasn't quite there, and they're stretching for the ball and it would go over their foot, or they had a heavy touch. So to have those three players back that you just mentioned there, and even to get Sam Bell, to add to that, is really good news for the manager and for the squad. However, when you find yourself in those positions, I think to make something happen is to score a goal, to get the opportunity to start the following week, you need to be taking those opportunities. And
it's interesting actually, because the more I think back over to the last couple of weeks, you think of Sam Bell has been back for a bit of time now. Yu Hirakawa, George Earthy, some of those attack, and Vali Mayulu, Sinclair Armstrong. we have become quite reliant on that starting 11 in an attacking sense. Defensively, we've seen the likes of George Tanner coming off the bench, Ross McCrory, Pring and Hayden Roberts jumping in and out for one another, Marcus McGuane doing his work in midfield too. But I feel in an attacking sense, there needs to be a bit more edge, a bit more bite when players do come off the bench potentially to start contributing. I
agree. The games I've seen when it comes to the second half and somebody comes off the bench, we're gonna say, go on, stake a claim to be put in the team, and it's never really happens. Bell come on in a couple of games and done great recently, and then all of a sudden you don't see him the next game. Is he feeling the hamstring? Because when you come back from that type of injury, emotionally and physically, it is a tough one and it's challenging and takes a lot of time. But the summer signings, it's still waiting, expecting more from them, and I think it's going to be a really big January transfer window for the football club if your aim and your desire is to to look at making that top six, because whatever you say, at the top of the pitch is the one key area now that they need to add to keep pushing forward, because the stability behind it, they don't go conceding lots of goals. And they also chip in with a fair few goals like McNally. So, the back lads and the other boys are, supporting the team and being up there. Now it's just Naki and the front boys need a little bit more help. We're scoring a few more goals. Just before we go, you reflect on your playoff push that resulted in obviously heartbreak against Hull City at Wembley. What was the difference that season? Was it real kind of consistency week after week? What do you see there that maybe we're not seeing so far this season that's going to propel City into the playoffs this time around? I actually see loads of similarities with regards to the back lads being the same group of players playing. So they build relationships, they know what each other's strengths are, they know each other's weaknesses that they can cover for each other. And I think that bit's been really strong. There's been a midfield pairing that have generally been together. They have wingers who can ball carry, who can run in behind up the pitch. We had people like Scotty and Michael McIndoe and Ivan Spry. These boys all had energy, they had legs, and they would get you up the pitch. And then with that, you had people like Marvin Elliott in midfield who would just run and win balls and was a ball winner. And then with them, you had Lee who could play and hit the back. I felt we had a real mixture of quality of keeping clean sheets, being really connected as a group, and then at the top of the pitch, the quality to chip in with goals. But for me, it was when you get to these stages of the season now, it's how do you find a way in that type of game where, if we're being brutally honest, I haven't seen a performance as bad as that, as in, like I said, not commitment or anything, just pure lack of quality on the day. How do you find a way of getting a result? Interesting. Well, they need to find a way of getting a result on Wednesday against Sheffield Wednesday. Quick turnaround. In some ways, a good thing. Liam Manning has had some time on the training field now, but I suspect they'll be itching to get back out there and put things right. We don't know their travel plans the next couple of days necessarily, but a bit of rest and hopefully they can go again at Hillsborough. I think that was the beauty of the Championship, is when you're on a run, you want to play the next game because you want to keep winning. When you lose, you've got the next game straight away to make amends. However, I'd be a little bit more worried going into a Wednesday game today, especially against a team like Sheffield Wednesday, who are physical, strong, powerful, try and run you into the ground. Like I said, I know their manager from working or seeing his work at Southampton and stuff. In his way will literally be that they'll run you into the ground. So I'd be a little bit more concerned after seeing the performance today, because I just didn't see it in the players' legs today. Whereas all over the Christmas period, all I've seen is people like Knight just running. Whereas today I didn't quite see it, and so I'd be a little bit worried going into the Sheffield Wednesday game on Wednesday, if I'm being honest. Well, fingers crossed we get a good result. Lewis, thank you so much for joining us once again. Thank you. Right, on to Wednesday then for Bristol City. Of course, points lost by the teams around them in the Championship, so hopefully the gap isn't too big now to the playoffs. Hopefully they can pick up all 3 points on Wednesday night. We'll have all the coverage, of course, for that game on Robins TV. But thank you for joining us on Robins TV Extra Time. Bristol City defeated in the end to Coventry. Not their day, but we'll see you next time.